Pick the service branch you joined?
I just wanted to join the Army. Got laid off from work and didn't want to hang around.
Do you recall your first days in the service?
Yes. Yeah, 14 weeks of basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey.
What did it feel like?
It felt like I kind of made a mistake, but I can handle it.
Tell me about your boot camp or training experiences.
Basic training, the first 12 weeks were every day out in the field, running around, calisthenics, hikes, pack on the back. At the end of the day, we marched back into the company area. At the end of our day, rather. And the last 2 weeks of basic training has to do with films about diseases, lungs that were pure black from smoking. And that turned me right off. No smoking, never. And at the end of 14 weeks, went home for 12 days, got assigned to Fort Hood, Texas. After 12 days, took the train ride to Fort Hood, Texas, got assigned to an artillery battalion, 105 howitzers. And they were quite the gun. It was better than carrying a rifle, let me tell you.
Do you remember your instructors?
Not too much. I see their faces and I just can't put the name to them. We had drill sergeants, instructors out in the field, instructors to learn the 105 howitzer, load, unload, all that stuff that goes with it. It was very, very interesting. The more I did it, the more I got to like the service.
So how did you get through it?
I got through pretty good. I made it. I made my 3 years, yeah.
Which war did you serve in?
Korean War.
Where exactly did you go?
Well, it started off, we packed up at Fort Hood. We got the call. We were going overseas, didn't know where. And we got on the train right on Fort Hood camp, loaded up, took off late in the evening. The train was full of troops. We went to Pittsburgh, California, and from there we went to a camp. I don't recall the name of the camp. We sort of bivouacked there until we were ready to load the buses. A few weeks, we got on a ship in San Francisco. And then we pulled out of there late in the day. We were going bye-bye. And it was so funny that we went under the Golden Gate Bridge. And when we went under it, everybody turned around and waved at the bridge. And it was kind of nice. So we were on our way. The only thing we heard about is we're going to Japan. So on the way to Japan, in between Hawaii and Japan, our ship broke down in the ocean. And we were there maybe 3 or 4 days. They made some calls on the radio and all the other stuff that goes with it, that they needed a certain part to get the ship going again. And they did that, but in the meantime, we ran out of food, and we were eating rice 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and supper. But anyway, they got us going. They dropped off the part on the ship, and we're on our way to Yokohama, Japan. We got off the ship there and did a lot of marching to somewhere in the area. Oh, it was what they call a repo depot. You report in and they ship you out. We were in Sasebo, Japan, yeah. They put us up for a few days, and then we went out by truck 2.5-ton trucks were loaded up with troops, and we ended up going to a camp called Camp Bender in Japan, right outside of, in between Yokohama and Tokyo. We sort of bivouacked there. We still were doing a little training, calisthenics every day, like we did back in the States. And we were waiting for South Korean troops to come in our company. Every company had at least 40 South Korean troops. At that time, they called them ROKs, Republic of Korea. And we thought it was a pretty good deal until we got pretty well oriented on what we expect from us and them. So we got together, we give them training, we mingled in the whole bit. It was one big family. And then a few weeks down the road, we got back on a ship again. And we still didn't know where we were going.
When you did arrive, do you remember what it was like once you got to Korea? Or they told you you were going to Japan?
We hit Japan first.
Right.
And we were there like maybe 6-7 weeks. Got together with the ROK soldiers as one unit. And a little bit of training every day to stay in shape. Then we boarded the ship, pulled out the harbor. Then we found out on the jukebox where we were going. It was the captain of the ship. He says, I want to inform all you Army guys, Navy guys, and whoever else is in the military, we are going to Korea. And I never heard of Korea to begin with. I just, where is it? Anyway, we found out. We were on the ship maybe 3 or 4 days. We got the word that was going to be an invasion at Incheon, South Korea. The 1st Marines were going to go in first, and the 7th Division was going to go in 1 or 2 days later. Well, that all happened. The 1st Marines marched all the way up to Seoul, Korea, ran into North Korea resistance, a lot of fighting going on. And we were told around the 17th of September, we went over the side of the ship into the craft landing vehicles, troop carriers. We got the word that 1st Marines got surrendered by the North Koreans at Seoul, captured the whole city of Seoul. So we were on the march. A lot of us walked, a lot of us bumped a ride on our vehicles. So we got up to Seoul after a couple of days, and we got orders to, the way we express it, open the back door to get the Marines out. And we did all that. We got the Marines out, and everybody regrouped again. And we started to go north, fighting our way north. And then we got so far up north, and I believe we had to get back on the ships. For some reason, we went from Camp Bender, Busan, Korea, South Korea. We were there. I'm sorry about that. And we loaded up. We loaded our troops up, went up there, got the Marines out from the invasion, and we started a little push north. We were pushing them back, and we had the North Koreans on a run, and it looked like the war was going to be a short one, from what we heard. So we got back onto another ship. I don't know. The Marines kept on going. Never kept going north on foot and vehicle. We got on a ship, went up the. I don't recall if it was the Sea of Japan or the Yellow Sea. I don't remember which one. We went up to North Korea by ship. We disembarked at a town called Iwon, North Korea. We got off and we started going north, walking, marching, trucks, jeeps, all that, 105s, everything you could imagine was going north. So we pushed the North Koreans up. Well, we knocked them out of commission, let me put it that way. We got up to the Chosin Reservoir and relieved the 5th Marine Regiment. And I asked one guy, I said, how are things going up here? He said, well, haven't you guys heard? I said, heard what? He said, the war is over. That was good to hear. Shall I stop?
What was your job assignment?
Pardon?
What was your job assignment?
I was a forward observer for 105 Artillery. I was in C Battery, 57 Field Artillery. I was assigned to that.
Did you see combat?
Yes, I did. A lot of it.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
There was a lot. Some of it I saw, and a lot of it I didn't see because we were all spread out over that reservoir. We were on the east side. Guys were on the west side. Guys in the rear, and we did a pretty good job with the North Koreans. And as the guy said, it was over. Well, word got out that General MacArthur was going to invade Manchuria, China. And if I may say so, I never heard those words out of his mouth. That came in later by the president. So anyway, 5th Regiment pulled out. We got established. Everybody found a little bit of a what they call their home. It's a hut. Everybody took over a hut for their quarters to sleep in and all that stuff there. So we were celebrating. We got our candy rations in, and we got our beer, and we were having a good time. Most of us went on the west side of the reservoir to meet up with other guys. We were having a very, very good time.
So tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
Well, here's number one. 10 o'clock that night, we were still celebrating. All of a sudden, we heard bugles, horns, hollering, gunfire. Did not know what was going on at that time. And somebody says, we're getting whacked by the Chinese. So me and Jose left the west side of the reservoir, ran across it, hearing the bullets going by, buzzing, forgot our weapons, I'm ashamed to say. We jumped into a foxhole, and the artillery was firing point blank at the base of the mountain just to slow the Chinese down. They just kept on coming and coming and coming. Me and Jose jumped in a foxhole for cover, and then they were shooting WP artillery rounds, which is called white phosphorus. It blinds you for a few seconds, and then it clears up. In the meantime, the Chinese are still going. They're hitting us. They kept going by us, going by us. When we got our eyesight back, and we saw this Chinese on top of our foxhole with a rifle and a bayonet, and we did not have a weapon, me and Jose. And I said, Jose, get ready. He said, what are you going to do? I said, just get ready. I grabbed the rifle from the Chinese and pulled them in the foxhole. And we put them to sleep. We put it that way.
Were you a prisoner of war?
No.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Yes. Yes, I got the Silver Star. I got the Silver Star for saving myself and a lieutenant. We put a few Chinese to sleep, and we caught about 8 or 10 for prisoners and brought them down to headquarters.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
I wrote letters to my family, but it wasn't often. It just could not do that. We were busy fighting.
What was the food like?
The food we ate out of a can, corned beef, never forget it, meatball and spaghetti, hot dogs, little bitty cans. We used to make a fire and warm it up and eat, and that was it.
Was it good?
Yeah, I gotta say it was pretty good. I took some home.
Did you have plenty supplies?
Going up there, yeah. And then we, fighting on the reservoir. We ran out of ammunition. We ran out of food, and we were in bad shape until all the Chinese were done attacking us, going down south. They hit the first Marine camp that was relieved from duty, and they went all the way down to the outskirts of Busan, and we started a big push back up north after we rejuvenated together.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
There's a lot of stress involved, yeah. Everybody was stressed out, yeah. Yeah.
Was there something special you did for good luck?
Good luck. First time in my life, I prayed to the guy upstairs because I didn't think we were going to get out. And if I may say so, backtrack a little bit. I asked my friend Jose, I said, did you see our Jeep driver, Whitey? And he called me D. He said, no, D, I didn't see him. I said, Jose, let's go look for him. So by that time, it was late afternoon on the 28th of November. And we started walking, looking around. The reservoir was loaded with dead soldiers from one end to the other. And we walked and we walked and we walked. Could not find Whitey. We kept on walking. We saw an M1 sticking up from the ground. And I said, Jose, let's go check that out. So we walk and we get near. We're walking over Chinese bodies. And we walked over bodies and we got to him and I looked. I said, Joe, what? It's Whitey. They shot him and they bayoneted him and left it in him. And that was sad. That was very, very sad. So we went back to the company area. They're going to regroup again. And we pulled out, went back down south to Korea. We had to put the division together. That's how many men we lost. And then I would like to say that I'm ahead of myself now instead of being behind. Supposedly, we lost 2,500 Americans dead on the reservoir. And the head count for the Chinese supposedly was, during that period of combat, we supposed to have killed 20,000 Chinese. That is unbelievable with the few troops that we had, but we did it. Good old American troops do not quit.
How did people entertain themselves?
Oh gosh. When there was no fighting going on, we grouped up, and who was from Oklahoma, who was from Texas. I was from Connecticut, but I come from the coal mines of Pennsylvania. And you meet all kind of people. Guys from Pennsylvania, met a lot of guys from Texas. My friend Jose was from Louisiana. We used to get together and just talk about where we came from, what we did, and stuff like that. And it was really, really nice. It took our mind off the war for just a few hours, you know.
Were there entertainers?
Yeah, let me tell you about the entertainment. We were still in Busan at the time. The word got out. This is really cool. Word got out that Bob Hope, you ever hear of Bob Hope, the entertainer? And his group, the tour, he went to every war that was for entertainment for our troops. And we were in Busan at the time. We got the word next morning, we're getting off the ship, put your pack, bring your weapon. So we're going on a march. And we marched, and we marched, and we marched. They halted us and says, turn around, we're going back to the ship. Everybody says, where's Bob Hope? He's not there. Pulled out, went to another area. That was supposed to be a joke for us, but it wasn't. Disappointment, yes. went back to the ship, and everybody was silent. Nobody wanted to joke around anymore because we thought we were going to see some entertainment to kind of settle things down.
What did you do when on leave?
Pardon?
What did you do when on leave? Like when you were on leave?
Oh yes, God yes. We had a program called R&R, Rest and Recreation. My turn come up, a bunch of us from the battalion, and we got a truck ride to Daegu, Korea. Daegu was way back at the fire line. And this is the first time I was on a plane. Did not appreciate it. So we're up in the air, we're going to Tokyo. And we had a 4-engine job, and I was pretty uptight because I did not like being up in an airplane. So we're going and going and going and going, and on the speaker, the pilot comes over and says, "Just want you guys to know, we're about 10 minutes from Tokyo, and before we get away from what I want to show you," he says, "I want to drive up to," he says he wants to drive up to Mount Fuji, a volcano. I said, "Oh dear God." Okay, so anyway, we approach Mount Fuji, and the 4-engine plane goes on a little bit of a slant like this here. And he says, "I want you to get a good look at the entrance of the volcano." I died in my seat. I don't care about the volcano. Anyway, straightened out, and he said, "We'll be landing very shortly." I'm on the right side of the plane, and I'm looking out the window, and I see some kind of a black spray coming on my window. Pilot comes over the air again. He says, "We have a problem, nothing to worry about, we're almost there to land. Engine number 4, which was on my side, is shooting oil." I died again. So he says, "We're going to shut number 4 down. We still have 3 engines to go." I was a mess, and we landed in Tokyo. Yeah.
Where did you travel while you were in the service?
You want to know travel for vacation or anything like that? Or I went to different camps. I was assigned to different camps.
Okay, yeah.
Well, when I came back stateside, we landed at Seattle, Washington. Yeah. And we, a couple of days we got on a train, and everybody was going back to their camps where they came from. I ended up at Fort Dix, New Jersey, to fill out my term. I had about a year left. And that was it.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
I don't know how to put that. Well, none of them were joyful, let me put it that way. When we were up on the front line, I was over in Korea 11 months, and I saw a lot. I did a lot. And when you're 20 years old, young kid, you're kind of gung-ho. But I got stationed at Fort Dix, and I was a field sergeant. I was training boys, truck drivers and mechanics and stuff like that.
What were some of the pranks that you or others would pull on each other?
Oh boy, a lot of them. Before I left Korea, I was promoted to corporal and then staff sergeant. And when I got to Fort Dix, I love these guys. They were all good people from all over the country, and they loved me. I was a good sergeant to them. Yeah. And whenever they could help me out, they were there. But we had a couple of bad eggs, let me tell you. We had one kid, His last name was Ringo, from the Bronx, New York. And when you meet people from the Bronx, New York, and Brooklyn, you got a problem. Anyway, Ringo had a tendency to go AWOL weekends. And I knew he was gone, but I never turned him in. And when he come back, I says, Ringo, what? Get in my room. Sat him down. He says, I'm in trouble. I says, yeah. When you go somewhere, you tell me so I know where you are. The captain asked me where you are. And I told him I didn't know. And he climbed all over me and says, Sergeant Denino, you should know where your men are at all times. I want to find out where this lad is. And I had to tell him. Well, anyway, he got 7 days of hard labor, cutting grass. That was it. I was glad.
What did you think of officers or fellow soldiers?
I had all good officers. I got along with them, and they were good people. They were really good people. Yeah.
Did you keep a personal diary?
No, I wish I did at the time, but I didn't. But being that I was young, I remembered a lot of stuff when I got discharged and, came home and that. But I never talked about the war till about, 1994 is when I started talking about Korea. People used to ask me how it was. I said, just another war, and cut it short. I didn't want to talk about it. But then I opened up.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Did I call what?
Did you recall the day your service ended?
Oh, yeah. I got discharged September 2nd, 1952. I went home for good. Yeah.
Where were you when you heard the news?
The news?
Like that the war was over and your service is ended and you're going home?
Oh, when I got home, it was still going on.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah. The war ended somewhere in 1953. I don't know just what month it was. Yeah. It was still on.
What did you do in the days and the weeks afterward, after you got home?
When I got home, I loafed about 2 months, and I couldn't hack it no more hanging around. It was like when I went to join the service, I got laid off from work, hanging around. I didn't like that. I went right to work. I went to work for a steel company, and I started to straighten out myself mentally, and things were going pretty good. Yeah.
Did you go to school or no after you got out of the service, or that could have been supported by your GI Bill, or
No.
you just went to work?
No, I didn't do it, and I certainly regret it. Yeah, I do.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
Yes, quite a few. We were all brothers, believe it or not. If I may say so, me and Jose was tight. He was from outside of New Orleans. We stay in contact. And my friend, the chief, his real name is John Printup. He's a full-blooded Seneca Indian from Buffalo, New York. All three of us were tight.
Did you continue any of these relationships? Like, continue to be friends with these people?
Oh, yeah. I went to see the chief of Buffalo, spent a day with him. And I went to New Orleans and spent a few days with Jose and his wife, and it was beautiful, really beautiful.
So how long have you been friends with Jose?
Oh my gosh, since day one, Fort Hood, Texas. That you're talking 59 years. Oh my God.
Did you join the Veterans Organization?
I joined the VFW and American Legion. Yeah.
What did you go on to as a career after the war?
My career was 31 years in a steel company. Good company at that time, good pay. Good company, really, really good.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war, about the military in general?
Yeah, it doesn't really leave, It's there. sometimes when you're alone and you're thinking about different things, the Korea pops up to me, And like I said, I went to work. Oh, I joined the reserves. I was in the Army Reserves for 13 years. I made Master Sergeant, and I was a first sergeant taking care of all the troops. It was my headache, and they were all good guys. I'll tell you.
What kinds of activities do you do, or the veterans organization that you join? Like, what kind of things do you guys do, or you guys post any activities?
Well, the VFW up in Wallingford, they don't have too much activity going, but the American Legion I'm in, I'm very proud to be in it because we always have something going, and we always donate money to scholarships and crippled children in hospitals and stuff like that. Our post is 73. We're always there for them. We have a good group of men. They really, really do. And I'm proud to be in it.
Do you attend reunions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think this one will be my 6th. Yeah.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Well, it kind of caught me down the road a few years. I, I'm 100% disabled to begin with. I mean, physically I'm in good shape, but I have a bad case of depression up until today. I think about things that happened. I think about it. My brothers and sisters are all gone. I lost my girlfriend Joni in the meantime about 2 years ago, and that did a number on me. I had to go into doctor's care. It was tough.
Is there anything that you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Well, like I said, I was in the reserves for 13 years, and I just couldn't seem to handle it anymore, so I quit it. Like a fool, I quit it. I only had between 13 years in the reserves, and I got credit for 10 years in the post office. I worked there 7 years, and military 3 years. Gave me, I think it was 19 years. I didn't go the extra year to drop pension, but I wasn't going to worry about that. I just found myself mentally. That's about it. Yeah. But things are going pretty good now. They're going okay. If I may say so again, I lost a stepson along the way. My stepson Jimmy, cancer, age 56, and that was a killer. That boy never gave me a problem. So I met him when he was 1.5 years, and he's a good boy, very good boy. Guy upstairs took him. And like I said, all my brothers are gone. I had 4 more brothers, a sister. I think out of my relatives, I think maybe there's only 7 left out of all of us. I make a lot of trips to Pennsylvania to see my cousins. It makes me feel good, But in Wallingford, though, I have a lot of friends. They don't see me for a few days. They come and get me or call me up because they know the condition I get into, and I did. I just didn't want to be bothered. But I'm doing okay. It's coming along. My little friend Irene, she's a doll. I got to mention her. She's my doctor. She's my lover. She's my nurse. 4'9" tall, this girl. Calls me every morning at 7:30. Take your pills. So cute, honest to God. That's about it.